In the early morning hours of August 31st, 1997, Diana, the Princess of Wales, died in a car accident in Paris. The death of the people's princess, beloved by millions, traumatized the world and especially her homeland. It seemed impossible that she would be taken so soon, yet she was. But the circumstances surrounding her death are much more complicated than a car veering out of control, and many are still wondering what happens that night in France. Diana's time in the royal family was nothing short of a nightmare. She married Prince Charles, now King Charles, in 1981 when she was 19 and Charles was 32. Diana had been unsure about the marriage, especially after finding out that Charles had an affair with a woman named Camilla Bowles, now the Queen Consort. Nevertheless, they remained married for over a decade, birthing two children, William and Harry. The couple fought constantly, especially over Charles' affair with Camilla and Diana's own affairs with other men. Diana also struggled mightily with the constant attention from the media, bouts of severe depression, and the crushing pressures of royal life. She attempted to take her own life numerous times, and received little support from the rest of the royal family. In December 1992, the couple announced they would separate, something unheard of for the royal family. The messy divorce was finalized in 1996, and Diana took the title of Princess of Wales, devoting her life entirely to helping others. A humanitarian through and through, Diana traveled the world helping anyone she could, particularly the poor, the starving, and those battling diseases like HIV and AIDS, making her arguably the most beloved member of the royal family. In late August 1997, Diana had been traveling in southern France with her new companion, Dodi al-Fayed. Throughout the trip, paparazzi stalked her like starving vultures, snapping photos every second. Such was the case when she made it to Paris and tried to exit the Ritz Hotel where she and Fayed planned to have dinner. The hotel was owned by Dodi's father, Mohammed al-Fayed, the owner of the Harrods department store chain. The press surrounded the couple immediately, forcing them to abandon their dinner plans and look for a way out. The group plans to have the princess's usual driver park in front of the Ritz in order to throw off the paparazzi, while Diana, Fayed, and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones snuck out the back of the building so they could drive to Fayed's apartment in peace. They got into a Mercedes sedan piloted by Henri Paul, but the press spotted them and gave chase on motorcycles. Paul wouldn't have it and stepped hard on the throttle, trying to outrun the charging mob of reporters. The car entered a tunnel along the River Seine at around 70 miles per hour, just a half mile from the Eiffel Tower. The car went down a sharp hill, causing Paul to lose control and sideswipe another car, veering it to the left. Paul slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The Mercedes smashed headlong into a pillar. The four in the car are thrown violently as the car whips around before coming to a stop. The paparazzi immediately go to work with the cameras, snapping all the pictures they could and not bothering to help the bodies strewn about. Paramedics arrive quickly and know they have their work cut out for them. Dodi al-Fayed and Henri Paul are dead. Diana and Jones barely clung to life in the pavements. Diana regained consciousness for a moment and asked, "My God, what has happened?" Soon after treatment started, Diana went into cardiac arrest and was transferred to Soule Hospital. The dark Mercedes sedan, wrenched in the back of a tow truck, disappeared into the night with the front end and the roof caved in and torn asunder. It became a defining image of the tragedy. It was early in the morning in Britain. Reporters, upon being called by their stations, scrambled to find out whatever they could and get it on the air as soon as possible. Just past 4, newscasters around the world, some choking back tears, broke the news relayed by a French minister that Princess Diana had died. When Britons awoke, they turned on their televisions, and the first thing they saw was the news story of the decade. Her face and the dates, 1961-1997. Trevor Rees-Jones, the bodyguard, made a full recovery. For days, crowds wept before Buckingham Palace, unable to comprehend what had happened. The funeral was watched by 2.5 billion people, akin to ratings for the World Cup final. The royal family was heavily criticized for their apparent coldness in regards to a national tragedy. As her coffin was carried down the streets of London, people screamed and cried everywhere. Ultimately, Henri Paul was blamed for the tragic accident on account of his autopsy. It was found he had been intoxicated while at the wheel of the Mercedes, his blood alcohol content 3 times over the legal limits. It was also found that Diana had not been wearing her seatbelt, likely contributing to her death. However, conspiracy theories have persisted that this was no accident, and that Diana was murdered by the royal family due to her association with Dodi al-Fayed, the son of someone whose actions against the British government brought down the ruling Conservative Party. Mohammed al-Fayed alleged Diana and his son planned to marry, and as a result, Prince Philip ordered the British and French secret services to have the couple murdered, finding it unacceptable for a person of color to marry someone in the royal family. Al-Fayed also denied claims that Henri Paul was drunk. He and others cite photos and video of Paul shortly before the accident that appear to show him looking perfectly sober. There's also a lack of witnesses who saw Paul drinking, and his record as a pilot showed no history of drinking. It should be noted that many of the conspiracy theories have come about from Mohammed al-Fayed, who employed Henri Paul. According to French law, the employer is responsible for the employee's actions while on the clock, and Henri Paul was possibly on the clock while driving drunk. This would mean Mohammed al-Fayed would be held legally responsible for the accident. But no matter how or why Diana died, the fact remains that it left the world devastated. The tunnel has become something of a permanent memorial, and her death remains one of the biggest news stories in British history. It impacts the royal family today. The Queen is gone, Diana's ex-husband is now king, and the woman he chose over Diana remains his wife. Her children remain princes, but Harry has left royal life behind due to the immense scrutiny his own wife faced from the media and the royal family, something many have compared to what Diana experienced. As a result of the drama, the royal family's reputation has fallen, although many remain captivated by their story and loyal to their word, and there's no indication of that changing anytime soon.